Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's been a while, and hey, this guy's come out. Or there, wherever. This guy's come out. He's crazy. We've got to cover him. Surtr. Surtr. I love this guy. Giant greatsword, AoE damage. Can turn into a meteor. Let's hop right into it. Alright, hey, how's it going? Alright, let's hop straight into this. We got our boy Surtr here. Let's go to the abilities. Let's hop right in and start off with the passive. Alright, we have Obsidian Flesh. Surtr's flesh cracks into fragments after he loses enough health. On picking these up, Surtr gains a percentage of his max health over time and protections for 3 seconds, maximum of 3 stacks. Enemies can destroy these fragments by walking over them. This is a pretty simple passive. If you think of it kind of like Mundo from League of Legends. Enemies do damage to you. Once you lose a certain amount of HP, you start dropping off fragments. You'll see whenever he does a little bit more damage to me. I should probably sell my items off. Oh wait, it's nice you might be getting there. So there we go. We got a fragment that dropped off there. This drops on the ground, stays on the ground for a few seconds. Enemies can walk over this and destroy it. You pick it up, it grants you protections and it grants you some regen. So it's actually really nice to have. I've had moments where I've been just in 1v3, standing in the middle of the entire enemy team, and I've just been completely fine, not dying, not even worried remotely about my health, because I'm literally just picking those up, getting regen off of those and protections. I'm also building like full tank usually, so I'm tanky because of that, and honestly it just makes them you kind of become a monster, a menace. That's the CC menace pretty much. Let's keep on going. Alright, we have his first ability, Flames of Muspel. Surtr sets his sword ablaze, gaining haste while this buff is active. Surtr's next successful basic attack will deal bonus magical damage, ignite the target, causing them to take damage over time, as well as spawning a fiery imp. This ability's bonus damage increases per stack, maximum of 200, when an enemy dies while the burning effect is active. So, we got our basic ability here. It's kind of like a, you can kind of use it a little bit as like a auto reset, but as you see, knocks your sword ablaze, you do extra damage. You spawn a little imp who got one-shotted, but you also ignite the target, so she'll be taking extra damage off of that. This is like a really, very, very nice ability to have always. I always love, I don't like fighting without it. Like, if it's off on cooldown, I'll wait a little bit, then I'll go in and make sure that it's up, because that imp, you may not think that he does too much, but that imp actually does some decent damage, especially later on when the ability gets maxed out. That imp starts doing some really good damage. Next, we have Giant's Grasp. Surtr pulls the closest target to him, either an enemy lane minion, a fire imp, or a magma rock. If neither are in range, Surtr then hurls the object forward, dealing damage and stunning enemies ahead. The magma rock stops on the first enemy. The lane minion passes through minions, stopping on the first enemy god. And a fire imp passes through minions, stopping on the first enemy god and exploding into an AoE or an area. This ability, I love it. I love it so much. It's very good. It's a very good stun, especially later on in the game, because the stun gets longer, I believe, as you level it up. It's very, very good. It does good damage, especially with the imp throw. The imp throw version of it does a lot of damage. As you see, if there's nothing there, you pick up a magma rock. It does pretty good damage as well. But I love the imp the most because it passes through minions and explodes. So it's like if you can possibly hold your grasp, I would always hold it to like you have your square up, you summon a fiery minion, then boom, you got an AoE that you can throw into an enemy team. Of course, if it's like a 1v1, then it doesn't really matter too much. You pretty much just be choosing like that or the lane minion. Kind of depends on the situation, because if they both pass through, so I guess it just depends on which is closer. If your square is down and you're standing in front of a minion or something like that, then I would say that it'll be fine to just pick up the minion, throw it at him if it's a 1v1. But if it's like a 1v3, because I play Joust, or some situation, or a 3v3 where you can get a very nice AoE stun that are all grouped up, then definitely the fire imp would be the way to go. Very good ability. Alright, and we have our 3 ability, Ember Walk. Surtr's Fury creates a ring of embers around him, providing a movement speed buff that increases for hitting enemies while the ability is active. The ring deals damage and slows enemies once as it expands, or when fully formed, and again when it contracts. WoW form. The outer ring deals continuous damage to enemies inside. The ring also picks up obsidian flesh fragments. This ability is great because I find that, like, as you see, Surtr's not the world's fastest boy. I always found it like pretty hard, you know, getting onto enemies and things like that. So when it comes to engaging in fights, like, the circle for me is just bread and butter. You can land a stun, going with this, boom. You fight the enemy inside of it. The enemies are slowed while that's up, and you're also doing damage to them. It's very good, very good. You get some decent AoE damage if you're fighting in the middle of, you know, 3 people, and if you got someone that's a little squirrely, you can kind of stay on top of them, slow them down a little bit with your circle here or your 3. And you can also bring Horrific Emblem, and you can pop Horrific Emblem and that, and yeah, you'll slow them to death. Like, they will not be able to get away. You and your team better focus them down. It's a very, very good ability. I've been saying about all the abilities because that's honestly how I feel about Surtr. I don't know if I'm a little biased, but I've been really, really enjoying it, man. All his abilities have been an absolute blast to use, and they all work together really well, in my opinion. And finally, we have his ultimate, End of Days. After a short build-up, Surtr surges into the air, infusing into a large meteor. While in the air, Surtr is immune to damage and can choose where to come crashing down. Before landing, meteorites split off, targeting enemies on the ground, dealing damage and spawning fire imps. Surtr's meteor deals increased damage and knocks up enemies hit. I don't think it says it here, but also while you're doing the build-up of your ult, you are CC immune that I know of. Like, everything I've been hit by so far, every bit of CC I've been hit by so far while building that up has been completely mitigated. So you can use it for that as well. It's very nice. So as you see, you do a little wind up, not too long, and then as you're coming down, little meteors drop off. They drop fiends, which it's a very good ult for them. Because you can drop down on top of them. You pop your Horrific Emblem and like your circle to slow them down. You have like six fiends or however many it is that drops out of the little meteorite pieces, and they go to town on someone, or in the whole team fight they can go crazy. You have your X up as well, and there's minions all around, fire imps all around you. So you can throw those for AoE, as well as getting like some ignite with swords. So you can do a lot of damage, a ton of damage with them. But yeah, that's pretty much the rundown of Surtr's abilities. They're all really nice, and they work together really well. Like, they're so good. There we go. Alright, welcome back. You already know while we're in this screen, you know we gotta talk about builds a little bit. This is the good part. This is the good stuff. Alright, let's go ahead and start off. This is gonna be pretty much strictly for Joust, because that's what I play. I only play Joust. I don't play anything else currently. So I'm gonna go off of just kind of what I've been feeling in Joust and seeing. So for a starter item, I've been seeing pretty much like these 4 items. These 4 here, they've not been too bad to go. Personally, my favorite is the Warrior's Axe. I've been really enjoying taking this. I feel like I have way more threat early game. I have the same feel with Bluestone as well, which is why honestly Bluestone and Axe I think are the 2 best starters for him. I think that the Eye of the Jungle and Death's Toll could be good, but I don't know. I just don't think that in Joust they're bringing the same kind of things to the table that the Warrior's Axe and Bluestones bring. With Warrior's Axe, you're still in HP as you fight, so I feel like even early you can be kind of tanky and be a little bit of a menace. I've been able to win a lot of skirmishes that I don't think that I should have won. Just because I'm still in HP back off of them, and I got a little bit more physical power than if I went like, you know, wings or something like that, which I don't have on here, which I should have on here. Bluestone, pretty much the same case, except for you're not healing. You're just doing a lot more damage. You're breaking out a lot more damage with Bluestone. I personally like to pair up Bluestone with Claw Shard. Like, I like to go Bluestone and Claw Shard, and I'll pop that, and you can deal a really decent amount of damage early game that the enemies will not be expecting from you, just because you're getting that extra magical power. You get some lifesteal as well, so you have some survivability because of it. And then you also have that little burn effect on the enemy as well, so they're taking a lot of burn off of that. And I don't have wings on here, but here we go. Not wings. I call it wings. Sentinel's Gift. There's also Sentinel's Gift. Obviously, if you're gonna go like a more tanky build, I think I could do that first. Whenever you go a little bit more of a tanky build, so I'd go that, and then obviously go Sentinel's Embrace. Just kind of make sure you get gold in your pocket. You got some decent sustain early game and well through the whole game. But yeah, definitely that extra gold in your pocket helps out a lot, because a lot of times you'll end up being, you know, the person with the most gold in the game just because you're, you know, assisting on every wave, assisting on kills. So you end up getting kind of funneled a lot of gold, honestly, just because of Sentinels. And it's such a nice item. And then of course when you upgrade it, you get those extra protections that you can also split with your teammates, which is always nice. Now, for like a first item, I would normally, like for the bruiser build, I would go Glad Shield, but I'm gonna go ahead and start off with like a tank build. So of course we're gonna go with everyone's favorite tank item, Gauntlet. Gauntlet. What can I say? It's so nice. Works with Sentinels because you're assisting on waves anyway. So playing a tank role, you want to assist, you want to get your carries fed, so you want them to have all the waves, getting all the last hits and things like that. You just want to assist on it. And well, both of these work fine for that. Wings, you're getting that extra gold, you're getting the healing from the minions dying, so you can stay in lane a little bit longer. If you're getting poked out, you can kind of sustain off of that, and that's not too bad. Gauntlet, of course, you're building stacks when enemies die up to how many stacks is it now? 55. Yeah, 55 stacks, and then you get a decent amount of protections. It's just a great item. Now after that, you kind of have options. Personally, I would go I like to go Glad Shield here. I like to take Glad Shield. Glad Shield's a nice item, gives you some decent damage, gives you some more HP, gives you a little bit of that cooldown reduction, which is of course good for your square, because square is already sitting on like a pretty low cooldown, honestly. Like, that's not too bad. Like that 6-7 seconds, you don't feel that, and you don't feel that it comes up very often in fights, which is always nice, because that means you're spawning another minion, you're doing that extra damage, you have more chances of killing enemies with ignite on them to stack it up. It's just very nice to have. And then Glad Shield's helping with all that. And then since we're going full tank, well, we're building all protections after this, so Glad Shield of course loves that. It of course loves that. For me, when it comes to tank builds, personally, I get a little situational with it. It kind of depends on who I'm playing against, who I'm playing with. But usually this is a core. This is a core for me. This is usually a core for me on most tanks that I play, but especially this one here, Glad Shield. Next, I would honestly probably take Manticore Spikes. I've been really enjoying this item. Thank you, Fortnite update. I've been really enjoying this item. It's been nice. Ever since it's come out, I've been experimenting with it on champions. It's been just very nice. Whenever you hit an enemy god with a hard crowd control, they drop a spike on the ground that lasts for 7 seconds. When you or an ally picks up that spike, they gain a buff that causes their next ability to deal bonus magic damage equal to 3% of their own max HP. This effect lasts 15 seconds and is doubled if you're the one who picks up the spike. That's great. That's great. 3% goes up to 6% if you pick it up yourself. Paired that up with a square that may have a few stacks on it. You see this one here I have 2 stacks on it, but paired up with a square that has already some stacks on it, and you can just chunk the life out of somebody with your square, and you can reliably drop Manticore Spikes. I can show you can reliably drop them too, because I mean, you got this, that's dropping them, and like I said, that's on a decently low cooldown. I think your circle counts as hard crowd control. I'm not 100% of your square counts as hard crowd control. I don't think it does, but then your ult does as well. Of course. Back here, buddy. Don't run. Boom. That's a hard knock up. I can drop one as well. Boom. Use that little combo there. There's already 2 on the ground. When you're playing Joust, there's only 3 of you, so that's 2 people who get a buff there. It's like it's really nice to have. And on top of that, it's giving overall pretty decent stats, giving you 35 physical protections and magical protections with some HP and some MP5. And MP5. And MP5 is nice because I'm not gonna lie, this champion kind of burns through mana like it is his day job. Like, this man cooks through mana. He does not care. It is kind of ridiculous. Now here, you kind of have options. Of course, it's like I said, it's situational. You got a lot of options. You can go Genji's Guard.
Will it be able to
and Genji's Guard's pretty good item. Gives you 70 magical protections if you're dealing with like a Fed mage or something like that. Then that's definitely good to have. because it's also giving some of that MP5. It's giving you more cooldown reduction. It's literally giving you everything you want, even on the passive. When you take magical damage from abilities, your cooldowns are reduced by 3 seconds, and it can occur only once every 30 seconds. But that's really good. that's really good. You get into a fight. All right, let's see. We don't have all items. Let's see what our cooldown is already. It's 6 seconds on our square. You can get 3 seconds removed off of that, and it'll be 3 seconds. So your square is almost instantly back up when you're taking magic damage. Let's just pick up raw here.
My path bends.
So you can pop that, boom, boom, and you see I just got reset to 3 seconds. That's already back up. Boom, you got another fiend. So if he doesn't kill the first fiend, you got 2 fiends already attacking him. He's taking ignite damage from your squares going off. He's taking damage from your 3 going off and hitting him as well. Like, it is insane the amount of how good it is. It's such a great item. Such a great item. So you can go that. I would say you could also go if it's still not too bad, you can eat more hits and things like that. You can also go this, I believe, new item, Archdruid's Fury. This item I've been experimenting with a ton, but I do like it on this character. Let's go ahead and run through it together real quick. It's giving you 35 physical and magical protections, and 300 health and 15 MP5. So stats are pretty decent. Could be better, but pretty decent for how much it costs, which I don't think is that much. For 25, it's not a terrible amount. But yeah, you gain a stack up to a maximum of 6 stacks. Each time you take damage from any of your gods equal to 5% of your maximum HP, which will be a lot whenever you're playing Joust and you're engaging for your team. Your next basic attack on an enemy god consumes all the stacks and deals 30 plus 1.5 per level true damage per stack. It can occur in 15 seconds. So with this, you honestly, I don't know if there's enough enemies here for me to be just proccing it consistently, but you can put out that means you can put out a lot of damage in team fights. You can put out a ton of damage in team fights because you're going to be taking a lot of damage, and you're going to be healing up that damage, of course, because you have your potion and stuff like normal, your chalice. You also have your passive stacks falling off. You pick up your passive stacks. They give you protection. They give you that regen. So you can sustain. You're taking a lot of damage, but you're sustaining pretty well. Chimera's giving you that extra little bit of damage as well. But then you're building up these stacks. So you have Spike going off. You have the buff from the Spike, so like 6% on your next hit. And imagine you also have like 6 stacks, because I don't have enough enemies here to stack it, I guess. But but you have all that. And you hit them for true damage. You will do a ton of damage to them. You will chunk mages very bad. I've chunked mages for like 25% and up. 25 to 50% of their HP, depending on if they're fed or not, of course. It's very, very, very good. I'm really enjoying this item. I have to try it out on other tanks as well. I've only really been using it on Surtr. It's really all I've been playing when I've had time to play Smite. Very, very great item. But as I said, situational, so you also have other options. You can come here, you can grab a Spirit Rope. Spirit Rope's pretty good. You get 40 magical and physical protections, and you get some more of that cooldown reduction. You also get some CC reduction, so if you're having a little bit of an issue with some CC, then you can get that and reduce that a little bit, because I'm not gonna lie, our boy here he's not a fan of CC. He's already slow as all get out. He doesn't like CC. Passive, you gain an additional 15% damage mitigation for 3 seconds whenever you're hit with hard crowd control effects or a root. This can occur every 15 seconds. As I said, it makes you very good when you're engaging in on enemies, especially in Joust. There's 3 people. You're going to be the main engager. Everybody's going to be looking at you, throwing every bit of CC they have at you, and it's going to be very bad because you're already very slow, as I said. So CC is definitely a weakness of you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and sell some of these items. I know there's still other items. There's other items as well, but I'm going to go ahead and sell this off. Let's go with a Bruiserish build, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the relics, because we shouldn't have to touch on consumables. You know, get your chalice or whatever. We could talk about relics and like your shard relics after we do this. But yeah, that was kind of the tank build that I like to do. And with that tank build, I would say that your starter item, you could also, instead of going sentinels, you could also go just axe. Like, I've been going axe as my starter item, and it's been working out really well. Like I said, you got all that extra damage early game, and it's allowed me to get earlier kills and start snowballing a little bit faster in the game. But doing this Bruiser's build, it's kind of, you definitely, you're doing more damage. You want more damage. Of course we want more damage, so we don't want Sentinels. We don't like that. We want more damage. So, go Warrior's Axe or Bluestone for this. Just for this, I'm gonna go Warrior's Axe. Is definitely my favorite of the two to go. Like, I think Bluestone definitely has its use, but Warrior's Axe has just been by far for me working out the most. I've had the most success. I don't know, like I don't know if it's statistically the best. As I said, I'm pretty much just going off of my own personal thoughts playing the champion so far. But Warrior's Axe I've had a lot more success with, and I've clicked with a lot more. Now, I will take Warrior's Axe, and kind of depending on how the game's going, I would choose between these two items. Now, I would probably go like Soul Eater if we have another tank, or even if we don't, if the enemy team's like not crazy on like damage and things like that, then you could go Soul Eater. You have that little bit of life still. Let me stack that up real quick, or I can worry about it after. But you can go ahead and you can take Soul Eater. It'll give you some early damage, and you get well, not a ton of early damage, but it'll give you a little bit more early damage. But the best part of it for me is that physical lifesteal and that physical penetration, and it's already getting you started on your cooldown reduction. So you're gonna have some good lifesteal, and it's like, well, how good is that actually? Well, honestly, once you get it fully stacked, you become a life-stealing monster. Even I've had teams build like anti-heal against me, and I've still been able to sustain very well in a lot of team fights, because you gotta remember, you got your soul eater fully stacked up, and so you're healing with that. But then you're also, if you're paying attention, and your enemies aren't, hopefully, you're grabbing your passive off the ground, which is giving you that regen and those extra protections that are going to help keep you alive even more. So you got a little bit of regen coming from your passive, you got lifesteal coming from your soul eater. If they're not doing if they're not like one-shotting you, which they won't, because you're going to be building a little bit of protections as well, then like you're honestly going to be you're honestly a threat. Like, even with magic anti-heal, it's still really effective, I've noticed. And it's honestly been one of my favorite builds to do. It's been my favorite build to do, though I've been doing a more tanky build because it's been a little bit more, it's been working a little bit better with my teammates. But yeah, after that, I would go Glad Shield. Of course, it's one of my favorite warrior items in general, because normally you're gonna be building a little bit of protection, like 1 or 2 protections items, and your Glad Shield will make you be able to derive more damage from that, and that's really nice. But you could also go Berserker Shield as well, because it's pretty nice. It's also pretty nice. You know, it gives you like 10 more physical protection, so it makes it a tiny bit tankier to physical damage. Gives you that health, gives you that 25% attack speed. So if you want to go a bit more of an attack speed oriented build, that's very nice. And it's also giving you HP 5, which is great, because as I said, you already got the Soul Eater that's fully stacked, because you're not really wanting to fight too much without it being fully stacked, because you aren't going to be healing a ton. You're going to be doing like a ton of damage. Once I get fully stacked, then you become a monster, so you have to kind of wait a little bit. But you have that going off. You're picking up your passive off the ground. It's giving you healing. It's giving you protections off of that. So you're getting regen off of 2 things so far. And then you also add in this Berserker Shield, giving you some HP 5. And you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna be healing a decent bit. I'm actually gonna nah, I was gonna say I'm gonna actually take it for this build, but nah. Let's keep going with our standard, because like I said, I'm going by kind of the builds that I kind of like to do right now. I like going Manticore Spikes, weaving this in there for the same reason as I did on the tank build. It gives you some pretty decent stats. You're deriving a little bit of damage off of it due to Glad Shield, of course, and it's giving you that physical and magical protections, that HP, and some MP5, because that's all good for obvious reasons that I stated before. The MP5 definitely, as you're going to be burning through it. But yeah, same thing. You're going to be getting that hard crowd control. You're picking up your own spikes, so you're doing you're doing like 6% of their max HP with your next ability, and that's tying in very well to when you're going for a damage build. But I think that you could also go something more damage oriented if you really wanted to. You could weave in like Heartseeker or like Hydras, and grab both them if you want. And honestly, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm gonna actually do it. If I'm gonna be going like a bit more of a bruisier, bit more damage oriented build, if you're not taking like worried about damage too much, if you're not getting one-shotted by enemy team, then I think you're probably okay to go with Heartseeker and Hydra's. It helps you deal with the enemy tank.
There is no weapon.
And of course, you're gonna be getting a lot of damage off of it.
Which I already
Let's take a look at it real quick. Heartseeker, you get 65 physical power, 200 mana, plus 20 MP5. Both of those are very nice. And 10% physical penetration. Your passive, your ability deals an additional 3% of the target's maximum health as physical damage. If you have over 200 physical power, your ability bonus damage scales up. This effect reaches a maximum of 6% maximum health damage at 350 physical power. I'm sorry about that. Subsequent hits on the same target do 75% bonus damage for the next 3 seconds. So yeah, very good for you to just wail on a tank with it. You take the Heartseeker, you go with the Hydras as well, and you can just wail on tanks. You can wail on whoever. You're gonna beat them down. There's nothing they can really do about it. You're doing way too much damage for them. Even if they build in protections, it really does not matter too much. That's just been my experience with it so far. I build these 2 items together, and it's like I'm playing an assassin. I'm chewing through tanks, I'm chewing through the carries. So when I'm starting my fights off, I'm ulting into the back line, getting a knock up on the enemy ADC or the or mage, whichever one, ADC mage, maybe both of them, or even support, however the composition's made up. I'm landing on their back line, one shot in their most valuable target, the most valuable teammate that's doing the most damage and things like that. So normally, like I said, they're ADC. Nothing anyone can really do about it. Then it's like, well, now you're surrounded by the other 2 people, and that's not bad either. Because like I said, now you got your soul leader that's fully stacked. You got your passive. You get that little extra HP 5 if you're going like if you're going Berserker Shield. So you're able to sustain, fight them off because you got a Heartseeker and Hydras as well. So you're kind of chewing through them. You got a little bit of physical penetration. You're chewing through them, and it's not bad. Now let me talk about Hydras real quick, which is the other item. It's giving you 40 physical power, 10% physical penetration, 10% cooldown reduction, which is great, and another 200 mana. So, as you know, these items, very good for mana. That's 400 mana. That's 400 mana. And when you're chewing through mana, that's very great to have. So that kind of solves out your mana problem for the most part. And even in the extended team fights, if you're popping your chalices as well, then you're not really too worried about running out of mana. And I guess you could take blue buff if you want, and then you definitely wouldn't worry about it. But personally, I like taking speed because it kind of helps make up for for you being so slow. Taking speed buff, of course, your teammates don't mind. I normally ask my buddies, but they don't mind, and that kind of just helps you get in. Speed buff with circle helps you get in a lot. But our passive for Hydras, for 8 seconds after using an ability, your next basic attack will deal an additional 35% damage. Abilities that function like basic attacks do not benefit from this. And then other passive, this item grants 2.5 MP5 per 10% of your missing mana. So this works very well. As it says, 8 seconds for 8 seconds after using an ability, your next basic attack will do an additional 35% damage. So let me go ahead. So basically, you can kind of go engage with this, boom, land an auto, circle, boom, land an auto, boom, land another auto, and you see, doing some very nice damage. You're doing very good damage. You can ult in, this triggers Hydra as well, boom, square, high trigger again, just weaving autos in there. So good. I don't even know if I have to say anything else. You gotta seeing this damage, and that's not even me with like the full stack soul or picking up the Chimera spikes or anything like that. It's a lot of damage. It's really good damage. Now, some of the things that you can kind of like swap out. As I said, you can swap out like Glad Shield for Berserker Shield if you want. I think that's pretty fair. If you don't think that you need this item here, you can swap this for basically, for real, honestly, like, pretty much like any tank item, but not tank item, but pretty much any item you want to go to Executioners, Kin size, whatever you want. I've had everything where you need some healing reduction. You can go Beat Stick, whatever you want to do. Have a little bit more damage coming out there. And as I said, your starter item, if you want, you can take Bluestone instead. You can have a little extra burn damage. So you have the Bluestone burn damage on top of your Square's Ignite burn damage. So you'll be doing a pretty good burn build. For any League players, you'll be kind of like Mordekaiser when he used to build Leandri Rally. So then just totally focused on burn damage. Now, talking about the relics, I feel like you can go with a lot of these relics. Like honestly, if they have a lot of healing, Curse Donk, I don't usually go pure beads, but if they have enough CC and you think it's gonna be problematic, of course you can go pure beads. You can go thorns if they're very melee heavy. But I usually don't worry too much about it. I'm usually a little bit more utility oriented with my teammates. So normally I'm going magic shell as my first relic. Blink's not bad either. I usually don't take it. I wouldn't usually take it first, but it's not bad either. Horrific Emblem is definitely like a must-have. This is a no compromise must-have as your first or your second. I prefer to take it as my second, so I can take something like Magic Shell as my first, or maybe even Belt of Frenzy or Blink as my first. I usually, or Aegis if I really need it, but I usually don't need it too much. And I haven't experimented with Heavenly Wings, but I think Heavenly Wings could be a pretty good first as well, because of course that will work perfectly together with your speed buff and your circle, and then the relic claws. Hell, the relic claws real quick, and the wing shard relic shard that grants you 50% movement speed. All that combined will make you a pretty fast boy, and you won't have too many issues getting into team fights. But usually, yeah, everything else here I usually don't touch. I can go. There's times where I will go cloak. The game's pretty rough. I may go cloak just to help my teammates out, just to kind of give them a little bit of a heal. And I may go Belt of Frenzy if the game's snowballing really hard. But I really don't. I really wouldn't want to take it over Horrific Emblem because it works so well with your kid. Horrific Emblem solves the problem that you have of being the slowest boy on earth. You pop that with your circle, and they can't move. Like they're literally they're crawling on the ground. They're baby crawling on the ground. They can't do anything. So like that's a no compromise for me. I usually always take Horrific second, and then as your first, you can kind of be a little bit flexible, in my opinion, between these that you need. But Magic Shell is usually what I like to go, since I'm usually the engager or the tank while I'm playing Joust with my buddies. Now going back over here to shard relics, that's only really two that I'm looking at. I'm really only looking at Claw Shard and Wing Shard. Like I'm really only looking at these two. I'm gonna be honest. And even then, I'm really only looking at Wing Shard. This like Wing Shard is so helpful early game for you. It's so helpful. Like I've used Claw, and as I say, you can use Claw with if you're going like Bluestone as well, and that can actually work out really well with Soul Eater if you get Soul Eater fully stacked. That's another 20% lifesteal on that, and if you can get your Soul Eater stacked pretty fast, and well, there's some more lifesteal for you. That's really good. You get more damage overall, but I prefer Wing because it solves your problem early game of being very slow. It helps you with your problem in general of being very slow, of course, until you upgrade it. But yeah, gives you 15% movement speed and attacks, and your attack speed is increased by 40 seconds for 3 seconds. So you can pop your circle, and with speed buff, you're gonna rush onto them. You don't have to worry about them kiting you to Narnia unless they have a ton of CC, and even then, you can still reliably get on them. I've reliably been able to get on people with it. And like I said, with Claw Shard, I already pretty much explained pretty much how that's gonna work. You're gonna be pumping out a lot more damage if you can get on top of them. And you pop that, you got your Bluestone or your Warrior's Axe, one you start to take, and then your Soul Eater, you're doing all right. you're doing pretty all right. I'm gonna bounce back to relics for a second. I know it's a little crazy, but I forgot to talk about this. About the upgrades, honestly, with Horrific Emblem, you can kind of go anything. That's kind of what I'm gonna say about like most of these. You can kind of go like either one of these, honestly. Like either one of these. I think either one of these work just fine. You go like Blink. I would prefer to go like Corrupted Blink Rune, just because you could teleport on top of them. You could slow them, and then if you're running Horrific second, if you decide to take Blink first, you can pop the Horrific, you slow them some more. Then you pop your circle on top of that, you slow them some more. They're literally not moving. They're not moving. They have 15% less attack speed. They're not happy. And then if you got your Horrific upgraded as well, and then of course they're gonna get even more. They're gonna get more debuffs if they're taking damage. Like it's crazy. All this stuff, it all comes together so well, and a lot of these things work so well with your kit. It's just you gotta play it. If you haven't played the champion, you gotta go play him. But yeah, that's builds for me. And that's kind of just a lot of things that I'm running right now. I know there are mentions like if I sell this Brawler's Beat Stick, you can go something like Frost. You can go Frostbound Hammer. Frostbound Hammer is really good because, of course, your basic attacks slow them, so you can pair that up with like Horrific Emblem, your Circle, and you can also have Frostbound, and then they'll be slowed to Narnia with that as well. So I think that's a nice stand-in item. There's probably other ones. There's definitely other ones as well that you could possibly go. Like, if you wanted to, I guess if you just want to go like Mystical Mail for some reason, you could run a Mystical Mail or anything like that. I think there's a lot. I think this champion has a lot of things that can work well on him. But like those are, I think, are the main. All these items that I mentioned, including the Frostbound Hammer, I think are like the main bread and butters of this champion. At least this early, like a weekend, it seems like that's kind of like the bread and butter, kind of what most people are building on the champion. Alright, now one thing I did not cover in this video so far is the ability order. I actually forgot to do that, so I'll go ahead and cover that now before I go ahead and finish up my thoughts on Surtr so far. Because overall, I think he's a great champion, and I am enjoying the life out of him with the little bit of time that I do have to play him. Now, with that being said, when it comes to ability order, my favorite so far has been doing square max into circle max into X max into alt. So for PC players, that's like 1 into 3 into 2 into 4. Now, there's also, I mean, I feel like you could be kind of versatile with the champion, because I've also done games where I've done 1 max into 2 max into 3 into alt, and that's worked out just fine as well. But so far, my favorite has just been square max into circle max into X into 4. So yeah, I honestly think that those are like the 2 viable paths to go. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's just it. Like, I feel like you could almost just upgrade. In fact, you just have to upgrade square first. Your 1 first. Okay, it's such a crucial ability. It honestly it's such a crucial ability. Like, I feel like it does like a majority amount of your damage, even though your 3 does a really good amount of damage. Like, when I was looking back at the footage, I realized, I was like, my 3 actually does like a ton more than I thought it does. Because like, I'm mainly using it, and I'm like, okay, I'm using it for the movement speed, to reduce the enemy's movement speed, and to, of course, slow enemies and do damage. But I didn't like realize like just how much damage I was actually putting out. So who knows? Maybe you can do like a 3 max run. But for me, just doing square maxes just seems to be the way to go. Now, my final thoughts on this champion is that honestly, to me personally, it feels like one of the more balanced champions that have come out recently, and it's really refreshing. I'm of course biased, I love characters with great swords, and I'm just so happy that it's a warrior. It's an awesome warrior with a great sword. Like the guy is awesome. I look at the footage in the background. The guy is awesome. You could, like, come on, man. You have a great sword. You can turn to meteor. It's amazing. Now, what I will say is, and also in a lot of these clips you see, I have the speed buff on me. Yeah, for me, that was like my biggest gripe with him. Like, I was kind of happy with everything else that he had. Like, I didn't mind anything else, but definitely your speed was seemed to have been like a big issue. And that was like one thing I was able to solve by just running wing shard, and of course using getting the speed buff. Thankfully, my teammates were letting me get speed buff every game. So yeah, having speed buff, using my circle with Horrific Emblem, and then use like wing shard when I had it, and then if I ever went heavenly, or you can have like a teammate run heavenly or something like that, someone can run heavenly, and you can get some speed off of that, or even run some movement speed items. But then that solved that issue. But that was like my only gripe with the champion. Other than that, I really enjoyed Surtr. I think he's amazing, and I look forward to continue playing him. Honestly, I'm probably gonna start just banning him straight up over Terra. I'm so sorry, Terra. But if you guys enjoyed the content, please send a like. Show me some love. It's been a while since I've uploaded. Just you show me you like it, I'll put out more content. I got you. This will be the year we put out some decent content. So if you want some more Smite content, roguelike content, or whatever I have planned next, go ahead subscribe, and you'll be able to catch me every time. You guys have a great day. I'm out.